shit. Hold on.
That's okay. You been up to much today?
Say again?
Have you been up to much today?
Just playing The Last of Us.
Have you? How different is it, or is it very much? I've heard it's just obviously. I mean, it's still brilliant, but
the AI is different. The visuals are better. The AI is a lot smarter in this one.
it is it?
Test. Okay, hold on. It's spiking, but I don't know if it's picking this up.
Oh, are you gonna shut your mouth? Because that would be a surprise.
Do I need to do anything on Audacity at the moment? Also, I've got it open.
Let's see if there's anybody in the chat. Nitro's in the chat. What's up, Nitro? Welcome early. Do we have anybody else in
Are you
here?
gonna shut your mouth? Because that would be a surprise.
Yield.
Yes.
I already did the trophies.
I see that.
But you're still 4 minutes late.
That's because I was doing the trophies.
You should do the trophies 45 minutes before we do the show.
I'm playing video games. You were still playing video games, so they wouldn't be accurate.
I stopped playing video games 45 minutes ago.
Your system was still said it was still playing The Last of Us.
Well, that's because my system's on. That doesn't mean I was actively playing.
Well, see, I don't know that.
Say hello to the chat because they can hear you yelling at me.
Hi,
Who?
Ian, how are you? You right?
Hi, Gareth. How's it going?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Oh, I'm not bad. I'm enjoying my 3-day weekend.
Oh, 3 day. What is that?
Yes.
Is that yourself, or is that because you've got an annual holiday over there?
Annual holiday. Actually, I got a 4-day weekend because I took Tuesday off as
Are you
well.
gonna shut your mouth? Because that would be a surprise. Are you
Oh,
gonna shut your
lovely.
mouth? Because that would be a surprise.
Oh, come on. Back to here.
I was just sending 4 back-to-back text messages. Did I ever tell you guys the ringtone that I use for our group chat? Yield?
No.
You should have just heard it 4 times, but hold on. Now I can't find it. Oh, here it is. This is what happens in just mine and yours and Alex's group chat when you guys text.
Oh, are you gonna shut your mouth? Because that would be a surprise.
Okay.
You don't know who that is?
I've heard the actress before.
It's Ailey.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yes. It's a quote from Horizon.
Oh.
I was going to use this.
News team, assemble!
But
What the heck?
Anchorman? You don't know Anchorman?
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I
but
don't watch Anchorman.
I don't watch Anchorman either,
I can't
but
think of that.
welcome Dupes. I see Dupes is in the chat.
Let's see.
Alex is still fumbling around with Skype.
There we go. It's the magic.
Alex?
Yeah.
Okay, that's better because before it was you were sounding robot-y.
Well, maybe that's because I'm a robot.
Maybe. All right, so anybody that's in the chat, we're about to get
Tricky.
started. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just expected kind of a response there, and I didn't hear you, so I was gonna.
No, I'm just trying to get the show started because we're 8 minutes late. All right, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna mute the mic so you guys don't hear our pre-show stuff. Hold on. One.
One.
You are listening to Trophy Horse.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 539. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
Cowabunga, Tricky Mick.
Cowabunga to you, sir.
Even if you're not a Turtles fan, you're still cool in my book.
I am a Turtles fan. I'm just not a diehard like you are. And I don't know. I know you're not on Twitch, but I've updated yours and Yield's cover images because you guys don't use cameras. I've updated yours to be the Cowabunga collection. And
Well, I saw earlier that you had my trophy card from PSN Profiles had the Cowabunga collection on there, and then mine was still Shredder's Revenge, which I'm fine with. Double the turtles, double your fun. I'm all about that.
yes, he brings the awesome. It's I yield to no one.
What's going on?
Okay, and
Here, can I bring this up? This is just kind of something that
can I get through the introductions first?
but it's tied to the introductions.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on, Gareth, sir. Do you mind if I get into this before we formally introduce you?
No, sure. Yeah, go for it.
Garrett is a good, kind-hearted fellow. I always appreciate Gareth. He's so polite. My thing is, so you do these little grandiose introductions for me and Yield. So Yield brings the awesome, but
Yes.
by default, does that mean I don't bring the awesome? And if I'm a myth and a legend, does that mean Yield's not a myth and a legend?
Do you really want to have this
what-
debate on the
what's
show?
going on here? We giving out backhanded compliments?
Well, I try to come up with unique ways to introduce you guys, and I mean, I'm stuck on what I've been doing, granted, but
I just want to point out there that Yield is very much, not so much a myth, but definitely a legend when it comes to trophy hunting, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Yield?
Yeah, I've carved out my own little niche.
and in no way is it like an insult by subtraction. I mean, just because I say you're the man, the myth, the legend, doesn't mean Yield's not, and just because I say Yield brings the awesome doesn't mean you don't. I mean, we've had awesome being brought by every single guest we've had on the show, which is guest this week is Gareth, our Rocket League buddy on Thursdays.
Hello. Yeah, that is some question to come into on 1 minute 30 of the show. So nice one, Alex.
It's a little deep.
Yeah, I mean, well, we talk about trophies and video games so much. You got to get to the deep stuff too. We gotta cut down into the bone on some subjects and get a little deep.
Yeah, me and Homer got a little deep in our text message thread today.
Yeah, I saw that there was 60-something unread messages, and I'm like, man. Well, first it started with a discussion on Star Wars. That was probably yesterday, I believe, and then it goes into, of course, The Last of Us and the remake and everything. So you guys are discussing all the hot topics.
I mean, as I didn't say this to Homer, but you could either agree with me or be wrong. It's merely his choice.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he doesn't see it that way, but I think the text messages bear that out.
Well, I know that. And listen, as much as I love and respect Homer, he's just got a bad take on this one. And I think a good majority of the people in the world would not agree with him. But, to each their own. He has his own opinion. It just happens to be wrong in this case.
If you think the remake is cool and you want to buy it and you spend $70 on it, that's great.
$70 on it.
That's great, and you're not wrong. If you think it's too much and you don't want to buy it, then that's great, and you're not wrong. And you're right too. You're both right on both accounts. So.
Right, but this wasn't a debate on the remake or the remaster. This was a debate on the actual game. And I think it's fair to say, I mean, as I said in the chat, no matter how you feel about the game, like if you don't like it, I respect that opinion. I honestly, truly do. But you cannot just hate on the game now just because there's a PlayStation 5 version of it. If you
can't.
Say that again?
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Essentially,
If you like the hold on, let me finish, please. If you liked the game in 2013 when it came out on the PS3,
yes,
that has no bearing on the game now. It's still a good game. You could argue and say that it didn't hold up over time. I'm fair to say that's a good, that's a compelling argument. But if you liked the game in 2013, you can now not turn around and say just because it has a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5 version that it's now a bad game, because the game story did not change. It's just the same story, the same reason why everybody loved the game back then. Just because it has a PlayStation 5 version that you guys think is a cash grab or whatever does not change the fact that it's a good game.
Well, I didn't say that it changed the fact that it's a good game. I did say you could hate on it.
Well, so we won't open this can of worms again because I'm sure everyone listening is groaning. But Homer's point was essentially that he didn't think that the story in The Last of Us was as good as everyone has made it out to be. Kind of like when I brought up Amy Hennig a few weeks ago or last week, and I said that I don't want to hear so much about Amy Hennig until she does something else in all these years since she worked on Uncharted. So he just felt it was a little overblown, and Tricky disagreed. So
If
doesn't buy into the hype as much as Tricky Mick does.
Some comments from the chat. Nitro says bad take. I don't know if I'd say that, but whatever. And then Matt G also says, I think the question is whether or not it was needed. That's a fair argument. I don't shy away from that argument. Matt.
Well, then we're getting to the argument of is any video game needed, and no.
Right. So I don't want to go down that path. Gareth, I don't know if we actually through Facebook or whatever gotten how do you feel about the part 1 being released for the PlayStation 5?
I mean, I've got no issue with it per se, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to go out and certainly buy it. I think it's £65 over here. I love The Last of Us. Played it on PS3 and PS4, and I wouldn't mind playing it again, but I'm more than happy to wait for it to come onto a sale or onto PS Plus, which it will inevitably do so at some point. You kind of think, though, I mean, the whole point of the remake is, in hindsight, I know it wouldn't have happened now, but it's if they could have avoided doing the PS4 remaster and then having gone from PS3 to PS5, I don't think there will be any argument for that is going on at the moment for it. Because obviously enough time would have passed. What was it, 2013? 9 years would have passed. I don't think there would have been any argument for having a remake at that point. It's just the fact that there was that middle on the PS4 2 years after the original release, and now a third one, which obviously is unprecedented.
And this is actually maybe in the time period, Gareth, because it certainly happened in a much, because like 2013 I think was when the first one came out, so going less than 10 years. Shadow of the Colossus came out on the PS2, remaster on the PS3, and then a remake on the PS4. And you didn't see that game get nearly as much hate as, or it didn't cause nearly as much of a blow up as this game has. Maybe that's because it wasn't, we hadn't had so many instances like this with so many remakes, and Sony's definitely ramping it up a lot now. Naughty Dog did this remake where you had Blue Point doing the Shadow of the Colossus remake. So you've got a different studio, not taking away from the resources of the original studio. And it was like, 13 years in between the two, in between the PS2 version and the PS4 version. So a little different, but still the same trajectory.
And I think it's fair to say that the reason Shadow of the Colossus didn't get as much hate is, one,
because it's the best game ever made.
Shadow of the Colossus wasn't a full price game when the remaster came out, and the fact that I just lost my train of thought. Now that we're in somewhat, we're coming out of the pandemic and everybody was out of work and whatnot, asking people to pay $70 for what a lot of people feel is just another remaster, not a full remake, that's going to cause controversy. And then on top of that, Sony's turning around and saying that they're not going to, they're raising the prices of the PS5. And on top of that, people that bought the collector's edition for The Last of Us apparently are showing up damage to people's homes, and people are calling to get replacements, and Sony saying we're not replacing it because we don't have any more. And all they're doing is offering a 20% discount on your next purchase on the PSN store. So, you're laughing, but I happen to agree with you on this. Like, this is just bad take after bad take after bad take after bad take, and there's no defending Sony at this point.
Just because they're damaged doesn't mean it's Sony's fault. Sony can't. It could have been damaged in transit, and if there's no more made, Sony can't just ship you another one.
Well, they were damaged in transport because they just basically put them in manila envelopes and didn't put any packaging foam or anything, like a box or anything like that. Because all it is it's, I don't know what it's actually called. It's not a collector's edition. Like, you don't get a statue with it. It's just like a steel bookcase and stuff like. I'm sorry, what I was talking.
I said a special edition.
Right. I mean, saying it's basically like you're getting a steel bookcase and some pre-order bonuses and stuff like that. But they basically just shipped them in manila envelopes that were going to get almost guaranteed to get damaged in transit. And the fact that Sony doesn't have any more because they made this in such limited quantity, people calling up saying, I want a replacement, but they don't have anything to replace it with.
I was laughing at Sony only saying, well, we'll give you, they don't have to do anything, but we're going to give you a 20% off your next PlayStation Store purchase. Right. That's what I was chuckling.
No, I agree. Like, that's a bad thing to say. And like, if I think if you can't replace it, and this is not just Sony. I'm saying if you buy a product and you are physically unable to replace it, then I think there should be not a full refund, but a partial refund, because you still got it. It's just a little damaged. It's like, and I've seen people, their arguments were, well, people buy, collector's edition because they want them in pristine condition. My Horizon Forbidden West special edition came, and the statue, I don't know, Yield, I don't know if you had any problems with it.
Yours was Booker, wasn't it?
I can't confirm or deny that it's broken, but there's certain pieces I cannot connect. And I don't know if that's because I'm not willing to put the strength into it to snap it on. But it feels like if I push any harder, I'm going to break it.
You're not that strong, Tricky.
That thing there was a couple, 2 or 3 pieces that I was like, you really had to push, but at the same time trying to be careful because you didn't want to push it through to get it to pop in. That I was getting pretty frustrated when I assembled mine.
All right, getting back to the topic at hand. Dupe says in the chat, fair opinion if Homer didn't like it when he first played it. And then he also says Gareth is wise because it ain't worth that price point. So, listen, it is what it is. I know how you guys all know, because I've been saying this since I played it in 2013. The Last of Us to me is the greatest game ever made. It's my favorite game of all time. I will die on that hill until something beats it. And God of War 2018 came close to beating it. It didn't. But that is my opinion. If you don't like the game, you don't like the game. But I am absolutely fucking sick and tired of people saying The Last of Us is a shit game when I know they liked it before, but now it's a shit game just because Sony made a PlayStation 5 version of it and is charging $70 for it. If you don't agree with that, I get that. But don't tell me it's a shit game just because of that. When if the game came out for $30 or $40, you'd be all over it, and loving it. That's just my 2 cents.
I haven't really heard that opinion, not by many, that they consider it a poor game as such. That isn't the main reason that I feel the hate is for it. Obviously, it's for is the remake necessary more than it's a poor story. But yeah, I agree with you. It's one of my all-time favorites. I just can't justify the cost again for a third time at that amount at the moment. So
Matt
I'm
G
happy to wait.
Matt G says in the chat, I'm sick of tired of people saying Breath of the Wild isn't a Zelda game.
Gotcha.
Fair enough, Matt. Fair enough. All right, let's get into updated trophy counts. I am level 683, total trophies of 16,786 with 372 platinums. Hopefully, going to have my next platinum soon. Alex?
I am level 461 with a total trophy count of 80. That's 8,080 total trophies with a platinum count of 127 in 126 games.
I thought we lost you
And
for a second.
that is about to go up.
Yield?
479 is my level. With a trophy count of 8744.
Oh shit.
156 is my platinum count.
Goddamn.
I know, right? And I am working on a couple of platinums. May not hit them next week, but here shortly.
Sid is level 683 with total trophies of 15,461 with 420 platinums. That mofo got another 18 this week. Gareth?
He's stomping you in a mud hole and walking out dry.
You know what?
He's Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you're Mr. McMahon. He's just whipping you like a dog.
Listen, I'm going
I
to
shouldn't say that because I don't like when people treat dogs like shit.
No, he's
so.
actually, you can say he's whipping him like a government mule.
Yeah, like JR, good old JR would say, whipping him like a government mule.
I'm going to say this right now because I know how Sid is doing this. Sid, if you don't come out and tell the people how you're getting so many platinums so quickly, I swear I'm going to tell everybody.
He's probably porting over his safe.
No, he's doing it legit. Like, he's not cheating. He's legit playing these games. He's not, borking any saves or, doing anything funny. But I know how he's doing it. And just...
Well, then good. You'll be able to catch him in no time after when next year starts.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to pass him on the first day because
It cannot be any worse or any more egregious than anything you've done, Tricky.
The worst.
By the way, Tricky sent me a picture of his folders of the games that he's bought that he plans to play, and there's a folder called OK to Play, which is his folder. That's his way of reminding himself, hey, you have to play legit games all year this year.
That's not
his safe space.
That's not what that is. That's saying that I can go into that folder and play any game. Yield, I'm going to send you the same picture.
Wait, what? How is that different from when I said it's you can go in there and play any game because this year you're restricted to certain games?
Yeah, that's what Alex said.
It's
Just said it differently.
Then maybe I just misheard you. But Yield, I'm going to send you the picture right now, Yield.
You need to open up your ears and shut your mouth sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so Yield, as Gareth is going on his trophies, check your phone and check that picture. Gareth, what are your trophies, sir?
So yeah, I'm bringing up the rear, but closing it in on Alex. I'm level 457 with a total trophy count of 7126 and a plat count of 121.
All right, so
hey, you know what? If you pass me, sir, you're a respectable player, so I don't mind that. Although I said that my number is going to change. I'm actually working on 2 platinum trophies right now, so one's near and one's kind of halfway through. So
you're playing near?
Huh?
You're playing near?
Near? No, I'm not playing Near. I'm close to. I'm close to 2. I'm approaching 2 new platinums.
You said near. All right, Gareth.
That Near is also another. It's another word. It's not just NIER. The game. It's also
okay. You're
in
killing.
proximity.
You are absolutely killing the freaking joke, Gareth.
Some jokes deserve to be killed, Tricky Nick.
So we can give Yield a little bit more time to check the picture. I don't think.
Checked it.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna still ask my question.
Okay, ask your question.
Gareth, I think we've asked this before, but do you have any shameful platinums?
Yeah, we've done it before, haven't we? I've got what's the Midnight one, Birthday of Midnight and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which are okay, aren't they? I haven't got any mayo or anything like that, but there are a couple of. In fact, I did do a pretty shocking one, or not that long ago, but it only took me about 20 minutes to do the plat. I didn't realise that at the time. I bought it because I like the Space Invaders game. I can't think what it was called now. It was Space Intervention or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so that's a quick, easy one, but I wasn't expecting it to be as quick and easy. But I mean, Space Invaders, I just enjoy that type of game anyway. So but that was my only one this year.
Only one this year. I have no shameful platinums this year.
No,
None.
Not through choice though.
Not. All right. So you saw the picture. What are your thoughts on the picture?
Well, I mean, that's one way to do it.
You see the number of games I have stacked up?
No, I didn't look at the number. I was just looking at your titles for your stuff.
All right. Now, bear in mind, I'm gonna, I might put this picture in the Facebook group just so everybody knows. But bear in mind, this is not including any PlayStation 5 versions of this game, of any of these games. In my AU games folder, I have 20 games. In my EU games folder, I have 64 games, which is actually closer to 90 right now. My JP games, I have 15 games, and my US games is 199 items. So, January 1st is gonna. Probably not going to exist, and I'm probably going to have to take a couple days off after that, but it is what it is. And I also have the PlayStation 5 versions of the game, so Sid's not going to get too far ahead of me that I can't catch him. But if
He's got access to all the same games you do, sir, so...
Oh, yes, he does. He certainly does. All right, so we're not going to step on that anymore. We're going to start with what we're playing, and... I'm going to start it off this week just because of the fact that
He hasn't been playing anything.
No, I want a little recognition from my fellow whores here.
We'll earn that shit.
Yeah.
I have been playing The Last of Us, obviously.
Obviously.
I've been playing It Takes Two. Played a little Fall Guys. And I finally finished Alan Wake.
Congratulations for finishing a good game.
It is not a good game.
Now go for the platinum.
That's certainly...
Okay.
Well, Tricky, you and I are going to have to... Okay.
We're going to have to talk about this off stream because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But that ending absolutely makes no flipping sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Here we go.
It does not make sense at all, and I will die on that hill.
Well, then you'll have to die on the hill, but it's not...
Alex calling in the nuke.
Well, here, first of all, Tricky, because you asked me if your theory was that it was all a dream and he was just going to wake up from it, which is not the ending. So clearly, you did not see the ending coming.
No, but I don't want to...
Tricky, you've seen too many movies and television shows.
Some comments from the chat. Dupes is saying Tricky goes crazy for hate on The Last of Us, but hates Alan Wake. Walking contradiction. Matt says Tricky wants to die on a lot of different hills, and then Rick says that's because Tricky is known as as a hypocrite. A lot of Tricky hate this week.
I mean, you're gonna sit here and call Alan Wake. You say it's not a good game, which I don't know how objectively you can say that. You can say, I'm not out here saying Metal Gear Solid is a terrible game. I don't want to play Metal Gear Solid, but I recognize that other people do, and it's a good quality game. I just don't want to play it because of the gameplay, but I'm not out here saying Metal Gear Solid's a crap game.
Right, but you haven't played Metal Gear all the way through, so you can't.
I tried to play Metal Gear Solid because you sent me your copy and it froze halfway through, and I'm like, well, I'm not. What do you want me to do? Like, the first disc was borked.
Okay, but see, I'm being called a hypocrite right now because I like The Last of Us, but I don't like Alan Wake. Why aren't you being called a hypocrite right now for saying that you don't like Metal Gear Solid?
He didn't say he didn't like it. He said he didn't want to play it. That is a difference.
No, I don't like it. I'm just saying it's not a bad game. I don't like Metal Gear Solid. I tried to play the first. I got halfway through the first game, didn't like 2, didn't like 3, so I just wasn't gonna play them anymore. But I don't know how not liking a certain game. Like you're saying that Alan Wake is actively a bad game.
In my opinion.
But see, that's the difference. Is I'm not saying that Metal Gear Solid's a bad game. I'm saying I don't like it.
Right.
There's a difference between what you and I are saying.
Right, but in my argument to you is that the difference is I can say that Alan Wake is a bad game because I played through it. You can't say Metal Gear is not a bad game because you haven't played through it. That's my argument. Now,
but hold on. How can you say Alan Wake is a bad game, but then other people can't say, in their opinion, The Last of Us is a bad game?
If they play through The Last of Us and they don't like it and they want to say it's a bad game, I respect that opinion. But the argument from Homer earlier, and just so we can, I don't want to misquote him. Hold on. I'm gonna need a second to find this. Okay, he says if you like cliched zombie tropes of a third person PS, which I don't know what that means, and an uninspired story, then yeah, it really isn't as great as you say. Okay, but if he's played through the game and he legit doesn't like it, okay, fine. You don't like it. I respect that opinion. But and somebody in our chat right now who's admittedly said he's never played through the game, and even said in our text chat he hasn't played it, so he doesn't have a dog in a fight, and his opinion really doesn't matter. But for the longest time, Nitro was trolling me about The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2 and how it was a bad game. Now, I know he was trolling, and I knew he didn't actually play through the game, so it never really bothered me. So all I'm saying about The Last of Us, when it comes down to it, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I respect that opinion. But don't tell me something's a bad game or a bad story if you haven't played through it. Because then you have no argument. When it comes to Alan Wake, and granted, I will fully admit, because Alex, you brought this up, the controls are very dated. It is a game for, I don't know when Alan Wake originally came out.
It's been 10 years ago, more than 10 years.
Okay. I personally do not like Alan Wake. I played through it, don't like it. I don't understand the story. Like, I understand what happened, but I don't get the ending at all. Like, that to me doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And, and I think I was talking to Rick, maybe, on Facebook Messenger, and he was explaining to me, or it might have been Mark. Somebody. I don't remember who I was talking to. But they tried explaining to me, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, that to me doesn't make sense. Dupes wants to know, and I guess this is directed at me, but I'll direct it to you guys as well. What about someone who just watched the story on YouTube or watched someone stream it? At that point, I guess he's asking, at that point, does somebody have a valid opinion of the game? Gareth, we'll start with you. If somebody just watched somebody else play it on YouTube or in a live stream, can they, at that point, say it is a bad game?
I think they can obviously have got more of a say with a bit more validity behind it. However, I think playing a game is very different to watching it, obviously, in terms of how immersive you can be and how much you can get into it. The atmosphere all plays a part into your experience of that game, and that is a contributing factor when determining, I think, whether it makes a good game or not, whether you enjoy it, whether you don't enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I think you can certainly form an opinion on the story, whether that's any good or not, because obviously it's no different to watching a movie or TV show in that regard. So yeah, I would say it does carry carry some weight, though not as much as if someone had played through it.
All right, Yield.
I would say you would have an opinion on the story, because the gameplay could be good, but you could hate the story, you know. So I would say you would have a good opinion on the story.
All right, Alex.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like you see the story like you're watching a movie. Like, you know, you're not playing Uncharted, but you're watching Uncharted, and that gives you, you know, a much better idea. Like, you've seen the narrative, you've met the characters, you have gone through everything with them. Gameplay's a little different because there's games like Returnal where I think that having the control in your hand and feeling how good the controls are impacts your opinion of the game and how good, like, how you score the game, because it's just that good. It's that integral of a part of the video game is the controls, and just having the control in your hand and moving Celine and you know, and shooting and everything. So that's central to the gameplay. So that, you know, that's an instance where you would need to have the control in your hand, and playing through the game is a lot different than watching it, like Gareth said. So yeah, I agree with both.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think if you watch the story on, you know, somebody played, or, you know, somebody watch it on YouTube, I think that adds to the legitimacy of your opinion. But ultimately, I think before you call a game bad, you have to play it. You have to control it. You have to see whether or not it works. So I hope that answers your question, Dupes. All right, let's get into more what we're playing. Alex, what have you been playing, sir, besides the Cowabunga collection? Because you've already said that.
I said Cowabunga. I don't know if I said I've been playing the Cowabunga collection. But yes.
You did when I was talking about your cover art.
Well, yeah, I mentioned the Cowabunga collection and the Shredder's Revenge. Doubling my dose of turtle. Double dipping on the turtles this year, which has been really, really great. Played some Rocket League with Nitro and Riley last night. Been playing some It Takes Two with Ashley, and you know, I know we talked about how that some people thought that last year's, like, they looked at the Game of the Year award nominees, and they thought it was a really weak year in games. And I will say It Takes Two, after playing it for a little while now, would be a top tier game in any year. I don't care what the year is. It's a really, really good game, and it absolutely deserved to win. And it's just a fun game. Like, you know, right now we're going through the daughter's room, and there's bounce castles, and we've got little fidget spinners that we're using kind of as surfboards, and, you know, there's like ball pits and stuff like that, waterfalls of ball pit balls, and it's just a really imaginative, awesome, cute, fun, cooperative game. Very refreshing, as far as, you know, because you think about, like, games you can play with your spouse if your spouse isn't necessarily, like, a gamer, and everyone always like, well, Lego games, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, this is a perfect example of a game that is a lot of fun to play, and it's, you know, it's not super hard to get. There's not a lot of controls to it, so it's not in-depth, and, you know, everyone can kind of get into the story. So I've really been enjoying It Takes Two. And the other, and Cowabunga collection.
Sorry, just to stop you there, is that, because obviously It Takes Two does interest me, but from a local co-op perspective, there's no one really in my household that I would be able to play with. Does it have an online cooperative mode?
It does.
It does, is it? Right.
Yes. And actually, the good thing about it, I'm sorry, Alex, to cut you off.
There's no matchmaking, right?
No. But the good thing is like, Gareth, if you say you didn't own the game, you could download what's called a friend pass and play the game with me, and you don't need to actually own the game. They did that with A Way Out as well. The only bad thing about that is if you don't own the game and you're playing co-op with me, you don't get any of the trophies.
Yeah, that would be a deal breaker for me on that one.
Yeah, locally, because Ashley bought the game, and now we're both playing it locally, obviously, and I'm getting trophies along with her. So if you're playing locally, you both get trophies. But yeah, the online thing.
If you both own the game, then I presume you both get trophies.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the case like me and Sweet Mama D, I mean, she doesn't own the game, but we're playing on the same console, so yes.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, as long as the, I don't want to say this for certain because I'm not 100% sure of this, but I think as long as the console you're playing on is the owner's primary console, then I think everybody else gets the trophies. But in the case like if you didn't own the game and you downloaded the friend pass and me and you were playing through it, you would not get any of the trophies. Only I would.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm sorry, Alex, I cut you off.
Well, no. I mean, Gareth had a question. So, Gareth, I would, if you could find someone to play with, I definitely would recommend playing It Takes Two because it is. I mean, you and your wife. Any chance your wife would sit down and play with you? You know, if you just kind of showed her the game.
Yeah, unlikely. I would have to say. Yeah, I can't remember. I don't think she's ever picked up a controller other than to maybe put Disney Plus on for the kids or something. So, yeah, she's not into gaming.
Fair enough. But anyone who's been on the fence of that game, and you know you have someone to play with, absolutely go ahead. It's really good. The Cowabunga collection is far better than I thought when I first cracked it open. Of course, you have the 13 games, some of which hold up, some of which don't. But overall, as like a preservation of video games and like work from previously in the industry, because a lot of these games you probably couldn't get anywhere else right now unless you had like an emulator or something like that. And some of these games that kind of would have been lost to time otherwise, like they're all packed in there. Konami and Digital Eclipse did a fantastic job with this. You go to like the Turtles Lair, which is essentially like the kind of memorabilia part of the menu. You know, they've got screen captures from every season of the Ninja Turtles cartoon. Not every screen capture, but just screen captures from the show. They've got strategy guides, you know, promo material, magazine articles. They've got all the box art digitized, U.S. and Japan as well, U.S. and Japan. And they've got all the box art digitized front and back in there that you can look at all the box arts. They have the video game manuals, digitized video game manuals from the SNES and NES days. Like all of those are in there. So like the amount of stuff they pumped in there is fantastic. Because I was streaming it on Friday, and Dupes was watching, and we were just kind of going through the Turtles Lair, and it was just incredible how much stuff they put in there. Because Dupes was like, "Do they have the Japanese box art in there?" And sure enough, you go in there and Japanese box art. But the games themselves, like, you know, there's stuff like the Tournament Fighters. They're not great games. They're really hard. I had the Genesis.
I gotta cut you off now.
Yeah.
Because I'm putting you over the hot coals, and I'm gonna let Yield, Gareth, and the chat
Go ahead.
make a decision.
So let me know. Here's the thing.
Oh,
I know what trick he's gonna bring up.
So you want to defend yourself before I even accuse you?
No, I'm not going to defend myself. I will explain my actions.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
Here, let me explain this. So, you know, this collection, for every game, they have different enhancements for every single game. Some of them, it's like, hey, you know, improves like the performance of the games. Like it takes away the flickering and stuff like that. Some games, like the fighting games, you can turn an option to play as the boss characters, like say Rat King for the SNES version of Tournament Fighters. They've also got God mode. Ultra hard mode. That's not what it's called, but they have more difficulty modes under there. They have infinite life and extra life options under there. So they've got a lot of different options that's different for every single game. There's also a feature called Watch, where you can press triangle, or not triangle, you can press square on the DualSense, and from the main menu, or the menu to select the games, and it'll take you to that game, and it'll basically, you watch the game play, someone is playing for you, and at any point, you want to pick it up, you can press square, and you're in the game, and you're playing. So you can basically zip all the way to the final boss, press square, and play it. So like with the original Turtles game, there was that segment with the dam, with the mines that everyone had trouble getting with, or defusing the bombs that everyone had trouble with as kids. You can completely skip that and pick up the game after that. And go on from there. Now, you cannot do that and go to the very end. You can't skip to the end, beat the game, and then get a trophy for it. What you can do is watch the game, go all the way to the end, create a save file, because you can create one save file for every single game, and you can overwrite that. So as you go through the progress of the games, you can create save states to, obviously, which is a godsend for people who couldn't beat these games on the Game Boy or the NES back in the day. Another great feature. But you create a save state, you exit out, go back to the main menu, select the game, load up your save file, and you finish the final boss or whatever, and you get the trophy. So it's one little extra step, but it's a workaround for just watching the gameplay and then picking up from there and then beating the game. So you have to create a save state and quit the game and reload it, and you get the trophy, whether you played through the entire game or not. What Tricky is referencing is that I was playing Turtles 2, the arcade game for the NES, on stream, and it got to a point where it was just super hard. And I got to Shogun's all the way to Shogun's level, which is like level 8 or something like that. And right before the Technodrome, and I was losing lives left and right, and it was really hard. And I said, "Fuck it." I skipped to I went back to the main menu, used the watch feature, skipped to the next level after Shogun, and played through that some. And again, super hard. So I was like, "Well, all right." I could simply just go because there is a God mode option in the enhancements for Ninja Turtles 2, and I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm not doing that." So what I did was, I watched all the way to the Shredder fight at the end, created my save file, exited out, went back in, beat Shredder, got the trophy. And that's what Trophy Gear is referencing. I tried to play through it, but it was hard, and I didn't want to deal with it, so I said, fuck it. I also did that with the NES Tournament Fighters, because the NES Tournament Fighters is fucking terrible, and no one should ever play that. I'm not wasting my time on that crap. And I tried to play through the NES Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I got past the dam, and after that, the game is just incredibly hard. Like, even today with save states and all this, it is really, really hard, because obviously on the NES, your movement is very stilted, it's very clunky, and you've got enemies all around you. So essentially, I would try to play segment by segment as I could, but a lot of times I would watch to a certain point and pick up the game as I was going. And eventually, I just got tired of it, and I got as far as I could, and then just went to the Shredder fight, or to the end, fought Shredder, and did the trick, and got the trophy. So, the thing about this collection is, they didn't really seem to care if it was difficult or not for you. Like, they didn't go in and change the difficulty of the games, because at the dam section where you have to defuse the bombs, there's still a timer. I figured they could have taken that out if they wanted to and made things a lot easier. They didn't.
Okay,
but
hold on.
Infinite lives and God mode and all this stuff, and the watch feature, they're just like, you know what, jump in and play and have fun.
Okay.
And there are even some of the games, like the arcade games, Teenage Mutant Turtles the arcade and Turtles in Time the arcade, where you press the options button or the start button on the PS5 DualSense, and it gives you just 2 extra lives right there. I got up to 15 from 3, and I don't even know how far you can take it. But essentially, what Tricky is going to say is, am I cheating? And in response to him, whatever anyone decides, I don't care, because I decided that my time investment when it comes to playing these super hard games, like I said, I could play the arcade game with infinite lives and nothing wouldn't matter, because that is an option. But some of these games, I'm sorry, the NES version of Tournament Fighters and even the Genesis and SNES versions are not great. Now, you have to beat the Genesis version on the hardest difficulty. You can't cheese that. You have to beat it on the hardest difficulty to get the hidden fight with Karai, True Karai, and get the trophy for that. So you have to do that legit on the hardest difficulty. And most of the games, I've gone all the way through, played them to the end. I'm not just doing every game, creating a save state at the end, and going and getting the trophy really easily. I'm actually playing through as many of the games as I can, and I'm trying to do all of them. But yes, on some of them I have used the watch trick, and I don't regret it, and I don't apologize for it, because again, some of these games are really hard, and they're not great. They're like, the first Turtles game is not good. It's not good. And I have no regrets. I'm like, whatever.
I'm laughing because you keep defending yourself. My argument, because Alex says he could have went through God mode. My argument was, yes, you could have turned on God mode, and 100% I would have been okay with it, because that's an in-game feature, and you actually played the game.
But so is the watch feature.
No, the watch feature is the equivalent of you taking my save file, loading it up on your system, and playing the game. I did 90% of the work. You did the last 10%, and you got a trophy. To me, that's cheating. So, that's my argument. Gareth will go to you first. Is what Alex did cheating, unethical, or is he perfectly legit in what he did?
No. As far as I'm concerned, it's legit. If it's a feature that's built into the game that the developers have allowed you to access in order to do it, then I've got no problem with it at all. It's not like you're being underhand and trying to manipulate the game in a way to suit you. You're just utilizing the features within that game, and that's as far as I see it.
All right,
I've beaten the arcade game before, Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on NES. I've beaten it before, so this is just my retroactive trophy.
All right, so Yield, before I go to you, I want to make one more point, and then I'll let you decide on what you want, how you want to decide. We had arguments when it came to trophies where you would go in and auto pop a trophy, and we, as a group, decided that if you went through if you played the same game and you legit went through the entire game, Sound Shapes was a game where you could go to the end, get the platinum, and then load it up on another thing, like Alex did with Sly Cooper, and it would auto.
I accidentally did.
No,
I
I'm not trying to shame you for that. I'm saying Alex, did that with Sly Cooper, and he to this day honorably says I have X amount of trophy or X amount of platinums and X amount of games. We have a group decided that if you go through the game legit, play it through, it counts. To me, this is not playing it through. This is letting somebody else play it through, and at the end saying, okay, I'm going to go get the trophy. So, that's my argument. Where do you stand on what Alex did?
It's an in-game feature, so it's kind of hard. It really comes down to who the person is, whether or not you want to consider it cheating or not, because it's a feature that's in the game. He didn't break the game to get the trophy.
So you're saying what he did is honorable and legit?
I'm saying it's up to the individual to decide, and I really can't decide one way or the other.
All right, some comments from the chat, because apparently I'm losing the chat as well. Dupe says this is going to end badly for me. Matt G says it's like using macros. Then Dupe says it's an in-game feature, and those NES games are insane. Not sure anyone can question Alex's gaming CV. Anybody that doesn't know what CV is, that's a resume. Macros on says agreed. It's not like he's using macros to pull off moves. And then Dupe says I'm in full enraged troll mode because of The Last of Us. The original NES Turtles games is hard. Matt says, I attribute this to Final Fantasy 7 and 8 and 9 re-releases, options for 999 damage and no random encounters and sped up gameplay. Dupes agrees. Rick says, it's an in-game feature just like God mode. And then Dupes finishes off by saying, The Last of Us has them, unlimited ammo, all kinds of crap. In-game mode's legit. Okay, I agree that it's an in-game feature. I'm not arguing that at all. To me, I think if you let the game play up until the final boss and then you control the final boss to beat it, you didn't beat the game.
But that's the difference, Tricky, is I tried to play through all of them, except for the NES Turtles Tournament Fighters, because I played that for 2 minutes. I'm like, fuck this, I don't want to do this.
So if you were playing Bloodborne and you got to a hard boss, and then Bloodborne said, okay, we'll control it and we'll beat this boss for you, and then you went on and beat the game, you still think that's legit?
Okay, there's a difference between a game like Bloodborne, which, yes, is hard, but is nowhere near as hard as the NES Turtles. That is actually a game where they give you the tools by playing the game and learning where you can dodge and attack and defend yourself appropriately. We're talking older games where, yeah, you do the watch feature, obviously someone played it through and did a good run, did a perfect run. But for most of us, that is not possible because there are so many enemies and the movements and the controls are not good enough to make that work. There are reasons why that game and so many others are notoriously difficult.
I don't know. I just think there's something not honorable in the fact that somebody else is playing it.
There's nothing honorable about earning platinum trophies while you watch Netflix because you can just press a button over and over.
But I'm not claiming to
There's
be
nothing
honorable about that.
About getting the platinum trophy in one game 20,000 times because you bought it from 20,000 different stores.
But I'm not arguing and saying that I should be held up on a mountain in the Hall of Fame of platinum trophies because I've done this. I outright say, yes, it's shameful. Yes, it's a guilty pleasure to sit there and pop a 99-cent platinum. I'm not trying to stoop myself up and be all honorable. You and Yield, to some degree, hold yourselves in some high esteem because you're the games you play and you won't stoop so low to get an easy platinum. You sit here and say you're honorable, and what you do, to me, what you did in Cowabunga Collection is not honorable. That's just my opinion. And it's a hot take.
Show me one person who has played video games that has not taken a shortcut. And we're talking, getting a guide online to solve a puzzle, getting collectible guides to get a platinum trophy. That's not you using your brain and scouring the world to find all the collectibles. That's you taking a shortcut to find the collectibles so you can get to a trophy faster, so it's not as big of a slog on your time. There are so many aspects of video games where everyone that we know has taken shortcuts. This is no different.
Okay.
And again, I would tell any one of you, Do not play the NES Turtles Tournament Fighter game. None of those games are good, but that one especially is terrible.
Okay.
So, like, if anyone's like, yeah, I just don't want to play this, and I'm just going to do the trophy, like, don't sit here and tell me that, oh, don't talk about the honor of trophies when so many other people just shit on trophies because they want to have 1,000 platinums and essentially just want to pay for platinums.
All right, there's a debate right now in Elden Ring and Bloodborne, so we're gonna move on. Gareth, what have you been playing, sir?
A few things. Just before, can Twitch see my camera?
They can. Although the bottom right and the bottom left are a little blocked off, but we see your face.
So if I hold that up, can you see? Just a quick question, and then the answer after I've gone through my games. But can you see that timer? Does that come up on the thing, or is it blurred?
It's a little blurred, but if you hold it still and bring it up a little bit more, it's still a little blurry. It says 168 days to go.
Yes, 168. Okay, so can anyone in the chat know what the significance of that is? And I'll give the answer in a minute.
168.
But in terms of what I've been playing, I've played quite a few games actually, which is unusual for me because I normally sort of stick to one. But I've been doing my usual FIFA 22, so I'm now one single player trophy away from the platinum on that one. So that'll just come naturally in due course. I was away for last weekend camping with a family, so I took my Vita away and started the Lego Lord of the Rings. So got a few trophies on that one. Most of my time has been spent on Star Wars Battlefront 2, both on the campaign and the multiplayer. I played a really poor game called Speedway Racing. It's not a easy. I mean, it's an easy-ish game, but it's not a rat plat or 30-second plat at all. It's still a 5-6 hour game, and I've got one trophy to get the platinum on that, which is just to a multiplayer one. I need to set up with 4 controllers, but it's not a great game. I wouldn't recommend that one. And then the final one that I've been playing is a game called Timothy's Night. I don't know if anyone's played that or heard of it. It's the PS5 version, but it was originally released in 2019 on the PS4. It was under a different title, which was Timothy versus the Aliens. But they've done a remake of it, or remaster. I suppose a remake because it's 4K 60 and makes actually really good use of the DualSense. That's probably its best feature of the game. But it's kind of like an open world platformer, third person shooter sort of combination in a really sort of nice noir setting, but with dashes of colour around. So yeah, so I'm enjoying that at the moment, and that's what I've been playing.
All right, Yield.
Oh, I get to tell you what I've been playing?
Yes, 51 minutes into the show.
Okay, so I've been playing some Maneater. Been playing some World of Warship Legends, Rayman Legends. Finished Lego City Undercover, which story's pretty good. I actually really like it. Now I'm just going back through and doing my collectathon. I've been playing some Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Little bit of Rocket League. And I think that might be it.
All right. As we go, we're going to get to our topics here. But as I do that, for the chat, I'm going to show the picture of my folder because everybody keeps saying it's a pile of dog shit, and it's not. You're not wrong. I'm going to let that focus in. All right. So Rick says he has no idea what happens in 168 days. And Dupes also says 168 days since Salah scored. I guess that's a football reference.
Salah from my team. Yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan, and he plays for Liverpool. It's not actually. It's something rarer than that. Which the answer is actually since Tricky's last plat.
I hate you. No, it hasn't been 168 days, has it?
March the 20th.
What was my last plat?
Horizon.
Okay, fair enough. All right. As is customary in the first show of the new month, we're going to talk about the PlayStation Plus games. This is coming from IGN and written by Ryan Dinsdale. I'm trying to get to the full list. Okay, so 3 new games will be available October 3rd, which is oh, hold on. Okay, it's going to be Deathloop. Wait, I don't know how they.
No, that's the premium. That's what they're adding to premium extra.
Hold on.
You said October, didn't you, as well?
Well, no, because there was a game that JT was really
Oh,
excited
I'm sorry.
for.
Okay. Okay, so the PlayStation Plus games for September are going to be Need for Speed Heat, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and Toem. All new games will be available yesterday as of you hearing this or on the podcast services. If you're hearing this live, it's going to be Tuesday. Okay. Then I should have read through this, but they normally have like so detailed. Okay, Sony also unveiled new games coming to its PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium Games catalog on September 20th. Headlined this month by Deathloop. You're going to get Assassin's Creed Origins, Watch Dogs 2, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Spiritfarer, the Farewell Edition, Shikori, A Colorful Tale. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. Chicory. Monster Energy Supercross 5, Alice Kid in Miracle World DX, Rabbids Invasion, the interactive TV show, Rayman Legends, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. A handful of games will also come into the Classic Games collection for PlayStation Plus Premium members. They will be available on September 20th. That's going to be Siphon Filter 2, the Sly Collection from the PS3. Siphon Filter 2 is from the PS1. Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, the PS3. Bentley's Hack Pack for the PS3. Toy Story 3 for the PSP. And Kingdom of Paradise for the PSP. Yield, we'll start with you. Any good games in there that you sound good? I don't know if you're extra or premium.
Oh, no, you were rattling off so many games.
Let's establish this first. Do you have extra or premium?
I am just a normal PlayStation Plus member. I am not paying the extra money for the other games.
I didn't know if you got grandfathered in because I know somebody bought you a PlayStation Now subscription. I don't know if that like carried over in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Okay. All right. So the only games you're going to be able to play are going to be going back to the top. Need for Speed Heat, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and Toem. Any of those games excite you?
No.
Okay. Alex, you're under the same boat. Any of those games excite you?
No, I mean, Need for Speed Heat, I don't know, maybe worth a try, but again, I've kind of gotten out of the racing game scene, and it's usually the mascot kart racers that are the only thing they're going to really catch my fancy, or tickle my fancy, I guess I should say, if I'm relying on old adages here. But the extra and the premium games, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Like I don't remember them all, but you know, Chicory, A Colorful Tale was something that was mentioned. You got the Sly collection. So, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
All right.
So, I mean, it seems like there's more worth to that service, you know, with those games added in there.
All right. Yield, Nitro says in the chat, you forgot Deep Rock. What you've been playing.
No, I thought I said Deep Rock.
No, he said, wow, Yield forgot Deep Rock.
Oh, okay.
Matt G says, Gaz, you are ruthless. And then Dupe says, hold that L, Tricky. And then he says he wants to play Need for Speed. Gareth, are any of the games that I mentioned, any of them interest you?
Yeah, I mean, out the essential ones, I mean, I always add them to my library anyway, regardless of whether I intend to play them or not. I'll looking at those 3, certainly Need for Speed Heat, having sort of plattered 2 Need for Speed games in the last 12 months, Rivals and the Need for Speed reboot. So Need for Speed Heat is the only one that I don't own. So out of all of them, and Toem as well. Looking at that, that looks interesting as a little indie title. I'm not familiar with what was it? Blaze Blue, was it?
Brand Blue.
Yeah, whatever it's called. The third one that you mentioned, which it looks a bit too Japanese style for me.
Grand Blue
yeah.
Fantasy Versus. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So I'll add it, but unlikely to play it, I would have thought. And then on the extra, yeah, certainly. I mean, I've been looking forward to playing. Definitely thought that might come eventually, and obviously, so haven't bought it. So yeah, I'll give that a go. And I did have in my cart Scott Pilgrim and Alex Kidd ready to buy last month actually, and I didn't. And obviously that's paid off as well with them being added to it as well.
Typically pays to wait.
Yeah, it seems that way, especially now.
Speaking of paying, going to our next story, Sony is paying to form a PlayStation Studios mobile division. This is coming from IGN and written by Ryan Didsdale. Sony announced a committed expansion into the mobile gaming by establishing PlayStation Studios mobile division and acquiring the untested Savage Game Studios to develop, quote, a AAA mobile live service action game, end quote. This new division will develop, quote, innovative and on-the-go experiences based on new and existing PlayStation IP, the PlayStation Studios high-quality standards, end quote, and will operate independently from the console game development. Quote, this acquisition reaffirms Sony Interactive Entertainment's commitment to delivering innovative experiences to new players around the world by expanding to additional platforms, end quote, said the head of PlayStation Studios, Herman Holst. All right, so I'm not going to read the whole article. I think I can accurately say that the three hosts, me, Alex, and Yield, we're not too much into the mobile stratosphere. Yield or Alex, am I wrong by saying that?
I mean, aside from Pokemon Go, yeah. I mean, I don't play anything on mobile, really.
And Yield?
Not really. I mean, I've played a mobile game here or there, and then after the newness wears off, I don't touch it anymore.
All right. Just coming from the article before I go to Gareth, because there's a question in the chat from Matt G. Does anyone know what that mobile developer makes? Coming from the article, it says Savage Game Studios, which is yet to release a game, was founded in 2020 by veteran developers Mikhail Katkov. I'm not going to read the rest of the names, who collectively had decades of experience at working on developers including Spider-Man's Insomniac Games, World of Tanks, Wargaming, Clash of Clans, Supercell, and Farmville Zynga, and Angry Birds Rovio? Okay, so no, they haven't actually made a game yet. Gareth, what about you when it comes to the mobile game market?
Yes, I've not been interested in it so far, other than dabbled in it every now and again because having two young kids, they enjoy using the iPad, playing Roblox and stuff like that on it. So I've seen it and sort of played with them for a bit, but certainly, no real sort of interest as it stands. But obviously, we don't know what is going to come from this because obviously it does seem like this is a strategy that Sony are sort of committed to going down, and you can understand why, given the amount of money involved in mobile gaming. But it hasn't been for me so far.
It seems like Sony's strategy is throw out that net and get money from every single aspect of gaming as you can. Hey, we're going to hit console gamers. Hey, PC. Oh, mobile. We want some of that too. So, and for me personally, I think that mobile hasn't always been a super attractive platform is because so much of it is like very microtransaction heavy. And when you already play games on a platform like the Xbox or the Switch or on PlayStation, it's, you're already spending enough money on games as it is.
Yeah, and when it comes to the mobile market, the only things I really play right now on mobile is the Supercell games, Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and Boom Beach, and those are very casually. Although I will say that they are coming out with a mobile version of The Division, which is introducing a new storyline, a new set of factions and stuff like that. I'm interested, but I don't know how much I'm going to play it because let's be honest, controlling games, especially like third-person shooters or first-person shooters on a mobile game, is extremely hard to do. So, if the game doesn't control, it doesn't matter how good the game is, it's not going to be successful. So, that's where I fall on mobile games. The next article we have, Alex, I'm going to need you to lead this. And I know you're not in the chat, so I'm going to put it in the Skype real quick because I have to run and use the little boys' room. So I'm going to put it in the chat for you.
Hold on, so I'm not clicking around. Did you send me the agenda this week?
I did send you the agenda. I send you the agenda every week, sir.
That's not true.
Yeah. So it's the Assassin's Creed one, isn't it?
Yes. Unless Yield, can you lead it? Because I know you're in the agenda.
I'm pulling it up.
All right, I'm going to step away for a second. I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, so there were rumors flying around. I mean, we've heard of in previous weeks or on previous shows we had talked about how there was going to be an Assassin's Creed set in Asia. There was talk of one set during the Aztec era, I believe. And then we had, all these things about, Ubisoft pushing back the latest Assassin's Creed game. Well, recently there had been rumors that they were kind of going to go back to the Middle East, where, all of this started with the original Assassin's Creed game. And coming from IGN.com, written by Ryan Dinsdale, Assassin's Creed Mirage officially announced reveal next week. And this is from September the 1st, so we will likely get this reveal. We may have it by the time the show gets out. But so an update to the original story. Ubisoft has officially unveiled Assassin's Creed Mirage following the leak earlier today, announced on the franchise's official Twitter. Ubisoft has also confirmed that more information would arrive at its Ubisoft Forward showcase next week. And then I believe, from what I had seen, this was, set in Baghdad.
You're correct.
But I don't know what the time period was. I'm trying to
thought it was 800s.
Yeah, but basically set in Baghdad. So going back to the Middle East, and yeah, so officially we're gonna get more information this week, but kind of going back to basics. And I think that Tricky had posted something on the Facebook page where he was talking about, and I felt this was kind of a reset for the series, another reset after they had reset for Assassin's Creed Origins, where they were going to take the RPG elements out of the game. And
which is a good thing, in my opinion.
Kind of, I don't know, man. That's what people expect. That's that kind of stuff these days. They expect RPG elements to be in their action games. And it's from PSU.com. And that article had claimed that it's going to launch in 2023 and will, quote, go back to basics. So we're not confirmed yet by Ubisoft, but I think if you reset the series again, are you at a point now after you've already reset it once where, especially this to me is going backwards if they take the RPG elements out of it. Instead of resetting it twice, are you at a point now where you need to consider not making these games?
Well, I don't want to kind of anybody else. The way I'm seeing this, and I don't know what you said is what you didn't say because I didn't have my headset in, but we're gonna get an official reveal on September 10th about this. I think this is them turning this into one continuous game where you could just travel to different timelines, and they don't have to necessarily make pump out an Assassin's Creed game every 2 years. They could just keep adding DLC to it, so to speak, and keep going. And you're gonna go in and out of the Animus and whatnot to travel to different time periods. So I don't see this as a technical reboot. I think this is just them coming to some sort of technology where now you can go anywhere and anywhere and anytime.
So let me ask you, are you going to have to then because obviously, leaving the Animus, if you're going to go to different time periods, you're going to have that DNA from people from those time periods. So are you going to have to go around the world outside the Animus, which I will remind everyone is the least fun part of Assassin's Creed, and then find the DNA to all these people, and then you can go, once you have the DNA, you can go back into the Animus and explore the areas of that particular world and time period?
I don't know.
Because that doesn't sound great to me. I'm going to be honest with you on that.
I mean, that does, yeah. I mean, I don't want to play as multiple characters outside the Animus. But I will say this before we get to the story. I plan to live stream this at twitch.tv/ProvenGamer. I'm hoping to get 1 or 2 people to do it with me. Hopefully Alex, but I don't think he's going to be around at that time because that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what, Thursday? No, that's Saturday. Oh, so you might be around.
I mean, possibly, yeah, but
But yeah, I'm gonna live stream this. They're doing Ubisoft Forward, so we're gonna get a bunch of news, and hopefully we'll get more on Division Heartland.
Wasn't there something? Sorry, sorry. Wasn't there also another? Aren't they supposed to be releasing another Assassin's Creed game, Infinity or something like that?
Well, that's what we thought. The rumors were that this was gonna. Infinity is what turned out to be Mirage.
Okay, right. So it's the same thing then, really. Okay.
Right. It's just whoever leaked it had the wrong subtitle, so to speak.
Okay.
I don't know if this means we're not going to get a full blown like Odyssey or Valhalla Assassin's Creed. I think this is going to be an online games for service type thing where we're going to it's going to continuously get DLC. I mean, I could be 100% wrong. I don't know anything about this. Surprisingly, because normally I have like a little bit of a hint, but I've actually heard nothing about this at all. So, Yield, I know you're not into the Assassin's Creed games, but does this have any chance of bringing you into that world?
I know Istanbul's not Constantinople.
What?
Obviously,
Did you never watch
Obviously, you didn't read the article.
I did not read the article, no.
well, apparently you also never watched the Animaniacs.
And you never watched the Animaniacs either. If you'd have read the article, you'd get what I was saying. I plan on, like I said, I plan on playing Assassin's Creed games eventually. I've got a few of them. I'm starting at the beginning, so.
Oh, I did want to say Unity was on sale on the PSN that was the one set during the French Revolution, for $8. It was $8 or $9. I almost picked it up, but then I also saw that there were multiplayer or online trophies, and I was like, well, maybe you can't get the platinum still. Like, can you still get the platinum in that game?
I think
you can on the PS4.
I think for the next month, because I didn't put it in the agenda, but we talked about how Ubisoft was shutting off servers for certain games. It was supposed to be done this month. They've actually delayed it another month, so it's not going to happen for at least another month.
All right, well, then I'm probably going to skip that until they inevitably re-release it, because quite frankly, like, I'm not going to take the chance that I buy the game and don't get to go through it. And
the multiplayer trophies in that game, I've gotten that platinum. I think you can get them fairly easily within like an hour or two. It's not an online grind. I think you just have to do like maybe like 3 or 4 missions in co-op, which I'll gladly do with you. So if that's holding you back, Unity I thought was one of the better games. Unity was actually the game. I don't remember if you guys remember, but a long time ago we were talking about when it came out. It was completely broken, and they had to fix it. So that might hinder you. My personal favorite Assassin's Creed game has been why am I drawing a blank on this name now?
Black Flag?
No, it's the one with
Origins.
Jacob and Eve. No, Jacob and Eve. The steampunk one.
Odyssey.
No, it's the steampunk.
Syndicate?
Yes, thank you. Syndicate.
I was getting there.
Syndicate was my favorite one. I like those characters, but yeah, I like I said, I think this is a games for service type deal. But we'll find out on Saturday.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to write it off completely, but it depends on how much you strip away, and even if you are stripping anything away, and again, if it's like, hey, it's a platform now, and you got to travel around, and they're trying to make the outside of the anime stuff more important now. I can understand why, because in Origins it feels completely useless, whereas in the beginning of the series it was like the most important part, story-wise. But, I mean, again, depending on how you handle it, and if you do want to turn into, hey, go to all these different, every year we release a new era or a new time period for you to play in, then, I don't know, we'll just have to see.
All right, Gareth?
I just had a quick look at the Assassin's Creed games that our servers will be shut down. It's 2, 3, Brotherhood Revelations, and Liberation HD, which are all PS3 titles.
So Unity wasn't one of them?
No, not that. They're shutting down.
All right, so there you go. You don't have to worry about the time there, Alex.
Thanks, Gareth.
All right, let's move on to our next bit. Oh, wait, Gareth, I didn't get your opinion on this, unless you said it when I was gone.
I mean, I'm way behind on the Assassin's Creed games. I've only played the first two, and whilst I enjoyed them, and I do intend to go through them, it's difficult because I've not played I haven't played Origins or Odyssey, Valhalla, so I don't know what the new style of Assassin's Creed is like, to be honest. So whether it goes back to its roots or not, I couldn't comment whether that's good or bad, because as I said, I've got nothing to compare it against. So yeah, but I mean, I've enjoyed what I've played so far of them, which is, as I said, albeit 1 and 2. So yeah,
Well,
can't really contribute any more than that.
Well, I'll tell you and Yield the same thing. Don't get discouraged by the first game, because the first game is heavily considered to be the worst of the series, and they totally redeemed themselves when it came to Assassin's Creed 2.
Yes, there's two. Two was really good, apart from the feathers.
Apart from the what? I'm sorry, the what?
The feathers.
Oh, yes.
The feathers.
Any collectibles in the games. Like, I hated in Black Flag when you had to run down the music notes. That was annoying as hell. All right, moving on to our next story.
Hold on, real quick. With Origins, they basically, like, there's upgrade collectibles, but they had collectibles like treasures you could sell, and I even had a trophy tied to that, to selling 100 at once. But didn't they kind of just take all the collectibles out of Origins?
I played it so long ago, I don't remember.
Someone's gonna maybe correct me, but I don't remember. Like, you obviously had to go do all of the question marks. You had to go for old habits. You had to discover all the areas and complete those areas. But I don't remember actual, like, you think of Alan Wake, you think of the coffee cups and the manuscripts, or the coffee thermoses. I can't think of anything like that in Origins.
Nitro's in the chat. Nitro, do you remember any collectibles in there? And as we're waiting for his answer, let's go on to the next story. Coming from Ryan Dinsdale over at IGN. I'm still trying to get him on the show, by the way, just so you guys know.
He's probably avoiding us. He's like, I know about that show.
Probably. Konami is about to announce a unknown game in a, quote, world-loved series. Okay. As reported by Gematsu, Konami's schedule for the show doesn't say much about the game itself, but only adding that voice actor Yuki Kaiji will take to the stage to announce it. He is a pretty big name in video games voice acting, having appeared in Grand Theft Auto 5, Final Fantasy 13, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and many, many more. He's only appeared in 3 Konami games, however, 2 of which are part of the long-dormant Sudokun's franchise, and other Japanese-only game called Terror of the Stratus on the PSP. Fans of the franchise have already noticed that the connection on Twitter, with at Sika SquarePants, point out that Kaiji's only Konami games of world renown are 2018 Sudokun and 2012's Sudokun. Japanese game names always get me, so I'm trying to skip them. The last 2 games were to be released in the classic RPG series. So yeah. I don't know if anybody's ever played any of those games. I've got to say I've probably heard of them, but don't remember anything about them. I think they're horror games.
Suikoden?
Suikoden?
I don't know exactly. We know people who have played them because they've been mentioned on the show before. But I've not played them myself. I don't think they're horror games, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Everyone is going to jump to Metal Gear Solid. That's going to be what they're going to think. And I think if it's anything other than that, I think you're going to see a lot of disappointment because people build this up to themselves. You know, it's a fault of many people's where there's this tease for an announcement and we're like, oh, it's got to be this. And yeah.
What about about Silent Hill?
Yeah, that was the one I was going to say.
Well, Silent Hill could actually be, people would be happy with that. And I was just thinking like Castlevania. I don't think Castlevania would be as exciting. I don't know. I love Castlevania. It's one of my favorite NES games. Just growing up, Castlevania was a huge part of my experience. I don't think that's a something that they need to try to bring back, at least not in the forms they've tried to bring them back in. Like I said, sell it off to Nintendo and let Nintendo do whatever they want with Castlevania. But I don't know. Everyone just kind of goes to Metal Gear Solid first and foremost. And And let me just say, the Cowabunga collection, I said it before, and I will reiterate here, now that we've had the game and had a chance to play the collection, it is the best thing Konami has done in years. So, I mean, credit also goes to Digital Eclipse, but Konami's collection of the Ninja Turtles games they released 20, 30 years ago is the best thing they've done in a while. So, and maybe it's going to be a thing where, because I don't know, I don't think Konami owns Digital Eclipse, but maybe they're just going to farm out all their IP to other studios and let them make it, and that's just kind of how they're going to handle things going forward.
All right. I want to correct myself. It's not a horror series. I assumed it was a horror series because I saw a picture in the article, but the picture was coming from the Silent Hill game that was never released. This is.
You mean PT?
Yeah, I guess you could go PT. Suikoden is a role-playing game series. The game is loosely based on the classic Chinese novel Water Margin. So it is a role-playing game. It's not a horror game. So I want to stay corrected. Yield. Anything that Konami can announce that.
Sorry to bust in here before you. I wonder how many people were screaming at when people listen to this. I wonder how many people are going to be screaming at their iPhone or their car radio, or however they choose to listen. You don't know what Suikoden is? It's not a horror game.
Well, to be fair, the three of you didn't, and the chat didn't correct me, so it's not.
Pretty much, I knew it wasn't. I mean, I didn't want to completely show my ass and be completely wrong, but I was hedging my bets that it wasn't a horror game, like a Japanese RPG.
All right, so before I go to Yield, Nitro has responded. Says pretty much, Alex. I don't remember many collectibles, but I've probably forgotten them because of all the locations. Looking back, the only collectible type that he sees is the papyrus document puzzles.
Oh, the papyrus, yeah.
Papyrus.
Essentially, yeah, you collect good catch there, Nitro. And I just played the game more recently than Nitro, and I forgot about those. Yeah, they're little scrolls that you collect in certain areas, and they have like a little riddle on them, and you figure out the riddle, you go to a certain location, and you get a certain reward for doing that. So, yeah, kind of.
All right, so Alex, I'm sorry, Yield.
From your calendar.
Hold on.
On TW starts in 30 minutes.
It's gonna say it again.
From your calendar, Gareth on TW starts in 30 minutes.
Hey,
yeah, we've been going on for a while.
Yeah, I just never updated the time. All right, so Yield, anything that Konami can announce that you'd be excited for?
If they said they were making like a new Castlevania, like nothing that they were remaking, like they were going with a new story, that would kind of intrigue me for my love of Castlevania back on the NES. I would just like Konami to get back to that day of the NES when they were actually a heavyweight instead of kind of a nobody. So,
all right, Gareth, anything you could?
Let me ask Yield a question first. Sorry, Gareth, before we move on. In terms of Castlevania, like where would you like to see that series taken? If they were going to announce a new game, what's a game you would want to play within that series? Because they did Lords of Shadow and stuff like that.
They did 2 of those, by the way.
Yeah, they did 2 of those. But are you wanting more of like an old school, like Symphony of the Night kind of thing?
I think it was 3. I can never remember which one. It's the one where you had the clock tower, where you worked your way up the clock tower, fought the boss, and then you had to come back down through the clock tower. I really liked that one. So I'd probably say something along that lines. But it's been a while. Once we got into the Super, I might have messed with one of those for a little bit, but I've never really played any of the other ones that have come out.
All right, Gareth, you want to answer Alice's question?
Yeah, probably. Although I'm not massive into horror games, it'd be good to see a revival from Silent Hill. It's been far too long, that's been in the shadows for. And as much as I don't know what it is with Metal Gear. I mean, I love it, but I've not played any of the recent ones. 4, 5. What was and they did that little in between one, didn't they? Ground Zeroes was it called?
Ground Zeroes was before.
Tricky's favorite game.
Ground Zeroes was before Phantom Pain. You're thinking of Metal Gear Survive.
Right. Yeah. So I've not played any of those. I do want to. I just. Like many games, just haven't got around to doing it yet. So, Yeah, Metal Gear or Silent Hill would probably be the two that I would choose to hear from if they were making a new game from those franchises. Really.
As much as I want to play another Metal Gear game, even if they announced a Metal Gear game, I would not play it.
But it wouldn't have Kojima
Right.
at the helm of it unless they went to Kojima Productions and said, "Hey, let's bury the hatchet. Can you make another Metal Gear Solid game?"
I think Kojima would tell them to go to fuck themselves.
But would Kojima see it as his duty to the fans if...
No, because Kojima wanted to stop making Metal Gear games at 3, and they forced him to keep making them. And I think that's basically what started the major divide. I was watching a documentary on the Metal Gear series, and he basically he fought to get 1 done, he fought to get 2 done, felt slapped in the face when they made a Japanese port of his game and basically changed it. He got to make what he wanted that got released to the U.S. Market, or to the Western market. And then after he made 3, he was done, and they forced him to make 4 and 5. And yeah, he's done with Metal Gear. Shame.
Okay, so as a fan of Metal Gear, like, you liked Metal Gear Solid 4, right?
I loved it, yes.
So, as much as you've shit on Konami, shouldn't you be grateful for them in some regard, because you wouldn't have gotten a Metal Gear Solid 4 otherwise?
No, I'm grateful to them, and Kojima being behind it was a thing, but I basically gave up on Konami and Metal Gear any hope on a good game from Konami in the Metal Gear universe when they put out the cash grab of Survive. I thought that was absolutely a slap in the face of Kojima and a slap to the face of the fans of the series.
Oh, so now you're against cash grabs.
That was 100% a cash grab.
I'm joking.
I know you joke.
I want to see if I can just dig underneath that skin.
No, I mean, to me that it was a slap in the face to Kojima. Survive was, and I'm done. Like, I have no faith that Konami can produce a good Metal Gear game without Kojima.
Rise and Revengeance, was that Konami as well? Or was that separate? Was that a spin-off separately?
That was a spin-off that was made by Platinum Games.
Was Kojima involved in that, though, I presume?
He wasn't at the start, and then they started struggling through it, and he consulted with it, but he wasn't the game director or anything like that. He just basically consulted to give them the lore.
Right.
And that's another Metal Gear game that I never played. No, I played it, but I never beat. So, yeah. All right, so moving on. So I didn't delete this from the main thing. All right, so at this point, we're going to throw it across the pond to Sid for this week's Sophie's Trophy.
Hello again, my friends. It's Sid with another Sophie's Trophies. And this week we are going to do a brand new release. It is, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection. It came out Friday, I think, or maybe earlier in the week. I actually can't remember now, guys. Came out this week anyway. And also, I'll just have to say, if you can hear something in the background, it is my little 2-year-old star, Callum, listening to his phone. So I do apologise if that's off-putting for anyone, but you know what? He's enjoying himself. So, trophy-wise, guys, not a difficult trophy list. Konami have outdone themselves with this trophy list. It is very simple, straight to the point, and make sure you see everything of the collection, which I think is a great one. So, I have a couple of little tips, nothing major. I've not got the platinum yet, guys, but it's not going to be too difficult, this one. I'm taking my time with it because I want to enjoy it. But I do have a couple of complaints. So let's get into it, guys. First one is Splinter's favourite, and as usual, that is your platinum. Then we have Shredding the Shredder. This one is for finishing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES. Then we have Heroes in a Half Shell. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade. Then we have Pizza Party. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. Again, this one is on the NES. Waiting for the Other Foot to Drop. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fall of the Foot Clan on the Game Boy. Callback. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time Arcade. Back into Action. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Back from the Sewers on the Game Boy. I Have Become Turtle, Eater of Pizzas. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project on the NES. Totally Tubular Time Travel. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo. Sewers 4. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Hyperstone Heist on the Genesis, or if you're English, Mega Drive. Gnarly Greatness. Finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Radical Rescue on the Game Boy. And then these ones are a little bit different. S Tournament Champion. Defeat Karai in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters Story Battle on the Super Nintendo. And then G Tournament Champion. Defeat the real Karai in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters one-player mode on the Genesis. And then we have N Tournament Champion. Defeat Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters Story Mode on the NES. So there you have it. That is the trophies, guys. Nothing too arduous. Nothing too difficult. I'm not a big fan of the fighting games, I have to say. I was playing the Super Nintendo one. It's going to take me a bit of practice with that. I'm not very good at fighting games. As Michael Jackson said, I'm a lover, I'm not a fighter.
Use the rewind feature, Sid, it helps.
I will say, the arcade games, guys, they don't play as well as they used to. Now, a little bit of a hint on this one, guys. You can turn on God mode to just play through these games if you wish. There are modifiers for each game. It varies on each game, but for the arcade ones, there is God mode, so you don't get damaged. I thought I'd give one a quick go on the arcade, and you can still earn trophies using these. So I did that on the first arcade, and I'm glad I did, because you can see if you play Shredder's Revenge, the leaps and bounds that they have made in the brawler genre. Because the arcade mode, it just throws enemies at you who just come barreling towards you. Many, many times I was just ganked in a corner, getting hit over and over and over and over again. Now, if I didn't have this God mode thing on, I would have been swearing quite a lot at the TV. So, yeah, that's it. The Turtles games. They're not quite as good as you remember, I have to say. Doesn't mean they're bad games. Of course they're not. I do have... I'm not very good at them, shall we say. I'm not good at arcade brawlers, guys. But, you know, what I played I enjoyed, but only because I was using the God mode. If I was doing it without the God mode, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. Is that a fault of the game? Yes. I think it is, because it was like made in the 80s or early 90s, and gaming was different, and these were designed to suck the pounds or quarters out of your hands. So, you know, there have been leaps and bounds made, and this just shows how far we've come. But overall, it's a worthwhile package, I have to say. It is a well done package. There is so much behind the scenes content. It is one of the best ones that have come out, you know. It's beat Capcom's, I have to say. So, yeah. That's going to be it for this week, guys. Turtles Cowabunga collection. Buy it, it's well worth it. And I will talk to you soon. Keep getting those trophies. Bye.
Hey, Tricky, can I make some points before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, we're just going into our topic of the week. Go ahead.
So Sid brings up a good point about Shredder's Revenge and how far we've come. The ability to play defensive with an evasive role in Shredder's Revenge is massive, because having some way to play defense and protect yourself whether you dodge or whether you block in some of these older games would be a massive help, because there's some games like Turtles 2, the arcade game for the NES, you can hit an enemy and they'll be stunned, but they'll immediately come back and hit you. So it's just like, with a game like that, it's like they kept the difficulty of the arcade game, but didn't take into account that it was for the Nintendo, a home console. So you're not just pumping quarters into the thing. And also, I don't necessarily agree with Sid that some of the games hold up very well. Turtles in Time is still, like, the feel of the game and kind of the fluidity of it. I think that game still holds up incredibly well, which is probably why it's long been considered the best Turtles game, until Shredder's Revenge came out. And even Manhattan Project for the NES held up really well, I believe. So, that's one of the things about this collection. It's nice to have all the games in there, but some of them are definitely going to hold up really, really well, while others won't. Tournament Fighters, again, like, I agree with Sid. They're not good. They're pretty terrible. But yeah. So Turtles in Time, if you're a fan of Turtles in Time, you'll still love it because it's still a fantastic game. And even, Manhattan Project, that gets the gold star from me as well, the S rank. So, but there are definitely a lot of games within this collection that are still worth playing even today. And you'll probably play over and over again as part of the collection as the years go on.
All right. I immediately put the question thread into the chat into the Facebook group a little late, but whether we have questions or not, we still have to do this.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
All right. We're going to get into our topic of the week, and I know that we're all going to have quite a bit to say about this, especially Alex. I don't know how long this article is. That's not that long. All right, I'm going to read the entire article. Go give it a click. It is coming from IGN and is written by Ryan Leston. Sony and Tencent have increased their stake in Elden Ring developer From Software, now owning over 30% of the company between them. Sony now owns 14.09% of the company, while Tencent, via its Sixjoy subsidiary, now owns 16.25%. From Software clearly aims to capitalize on this increased investment, with the majority stakeholder issuing the following statement. Quote, From Software decided to conduct a third-party allotment to Sixjoy and within the Tencent group, which has strengthened its capabilities to develop and to deploy mobile games and other network technologies in the global market, including China and SIE within the Sony group, which has strengthened its capabilities to deploy IP in games, videos, and various other media in the global market concurrently and separately, end quote. However, Kawa still owns 69.66% From Software and asserted that the company will double down on creating its own IP. Quote, From Software will aim to proactively invest in development of more powerful game IP for itself to strengthen From Software's development capabilities, and will seek to establish a framework that allows expansion into the scope of its own publishing and significantly growing global market, end quote. Elden Ring is just the latest in From Software's long list of popular games. The likes of Bloodborne, Dark Souls, and Sekiro have catapulted the studio to become one of the most popular developers in the world, with Elden Ring becoming one of the 10 best-selling games in the U.S. history. Not a bad investment for Sony and Tencent. Of course, Elden Ring is clearly a big part of From Software's plans going forward. One of the company's best-selling games. It also managed to secure the biggest YouTube launch in history with a staggering 3 billion views in just 60 days. Back in March, publisher Bandai Namco and From Software released a joint statement calling the game, quote, a fantastic start for a new franchise, end quote. Then quoted again, much effort was placed in creating Elden Ring so we could exceed the expectations of our fans worldwide. In like manner, we will continue our efforts to expand the brand and its game beyond itself and into everyone's daily life, end quote. Clearly, there's more Elden Ring to come in the long term, and that's likely a big reason why both Sony and Tencent are keen to increase their stake in the company. So that's the article. Go give that a click. Gareth, we're going to start with you. Numerous times on the show, we've talked about Tencent basically trying to take over the world and buying everything. Do you see this as a good thing, a bad thing, or just the cost of doing business in today's video game development world?
Okay, so, I mean, if we break it down, obviously Tencent have got a lot of fingers in a lot of pies. Obviously they're continuing to try and do that with this investment. It strengthens their grip on their position within sort of the video game market. But because obviously, I think what's within that article, there's is it Six Joy? That's the subsidiary, isn't it? Of
Yes,
Tencent.
Six Joy, yes.
And obviously that is a mobile game publishing company, which obviously publishes predominantly iOS and Android. So obviously they're trying to, From Software obviously are going to look to try and invest or sort of get into that mobile market, which I think they did mention within the article. So if they can get a piece of that, 2022 saw what's this? I think it's accounted mobile sort of smartphone games is accounted for 45%. I was reading of sort of all video game revenue this year so far. So that's a huge amount of money. So obviously From Software, now that they've got the kudos moving forward because of the games that they've how successful they've been recently, especially with the likes of Elden Ring, entering that mobile, is it going to give them the option of a whole new audience to target? So from their perspective, yeah, Tencent have got this mobile company that they're obviously a huge company themselves. Sony obviously want to get into that mobile market as well, as we've seen with their acquisition of Savage Game Studios. We talked about SIE as well. I think they mentioned SIE in there. So obviously that seems to be a strategy that Sony are going down the route of. We've got obviously a Last of Us series on the horizon. What else is there? There's Twisted Metal series. We've had the Uncharted film, Ghost of Tsushima. There's a movie coming out for that, I believe. Was it Gran Turismo 7 series coming out as well? So
and Days Gone as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Days Gone. Yeah, and is Horizon, or is that just a rumor as well? But there's something to do with Horizon, I'm sure.
I think Horizon's also been confirmed.
I think Horizon's a TV show.
Yeah, so it's not inconceivable to think that, given the success of the games that they've brought out with the Souls series, Bloodborne, if they could, it may give them an avenue to create a show using obviously the investment of Sony, that little pathway in, and try and increase their revenue and sort of market share within the industry on that scale as well. From Sony's perspective, their strategy does seem to be that obviously they've announced that they want to go into mobile. That's evident with the acquisition of Savage Games. And I think even going further back, there was a couple announcement a few weeks ago, obviously, because a lot of people, and I think we've already mentioned it on the show here tonight, about how difficult it is with mobile. I mean, the thought of using a controller on the screen, I don't know how my kids do it, but they do. But the thought of sort of where you're sort of moving your finger around on a screen, but is this now, because they're launching the Backbone controller, is that going to tie in with their development of mobile gaming? Because now that's giving people the access to play on their mobile phones, and is that now going to be mobile games but use an actual controller? Is that going to attract a new audience for even further? Because it probably would do to me if I'm not necessarily mobile games, but it certainly I'll consider playing on my mobile PlayStation games if I've got an actual stick and proper buttons to play with. So I know that Sony get a lot of stick for, especially Jim Ryan. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of him anyway, but he's not a gamer, but he's obviously a successful businessman, and it's unusual for someone to be so successful without a strategy in place. So whilst some people may think that it's Sony don't have a strategy or it's a little bit misfiring, there usually is something behind it, and there is a reason for everything. But and this might be it. This, when you start linking it all in with the backbone, the acquisition of the mobile game producer studio From Software, obviously, they've just announced that they're looking to get into mobile. It starts to all link in and then and tie in nicely. So we'll see what comes from it. Yeah, so that's my opinion on, certainly from the Sony perspective. From the Tencent, it's a little bit. A lot of people probably would have more to say on that. Because through ethics and morals, really, of sort of from that perspective, which I'll fire it over to anybody else that wants to.
All right, Yield. Before I go to you, just Dupe says in the chat the backbone controller that Sony PlayStation recently released for the iPhone and it's coming from the Android. He says it's fantastic.
It is good, is it? Okay, because I've considered getting it, but I think it's £100 or $100 over there, £100 here. That's the only thing. I didn't realise it was actually out yet. I thought it was. I know there is a version. I didn't realise the PlayStation version was actually out yet.
Yeah, like I said, it's out for iOS right now, Apple phones, but it's coming from Android later. Yield, what are your thoughts on the whole Tencent, Sony purchasing more of, I just lost their name. Why I just
From Software?
There you go. Thank you. Sorry. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Everybody knows my opinion on everybody buying everybody, so I guess I could care less.
All right.
They're not buying anybody. They own a stake in the company.
Share. I mean, it's good from because now they'll get more, I would guess, more marketing opportunity from Sony because they now have a more vested interest in them.
I've seen theories other places where that they were looking maybe to start self-publishing. From Software was so investments from Sony and Tencent would really help with that because Sony and Tencent, as far as their gaming divisions go, and I don't know if Tencent does anything outside of gaming, but when it comes to a division of gaming, they make the most revenue of any other company. That's 1 and 2, Tencent and Sony. Microsoft makes more revenue than Sony overall, but not their gaming division. Of course, that could change over time, but yeah, you have the two biggest revenue-generating game divisions investing in you, and I don't know if Tencent is held to the same what am I trying to say? Monopoly rules or the restrictions as like Sony or Microsoft would be. Like, I'm not sure if Tencent could just buy up anybody they wanted if they wanted to sell. Like, if From Software said they wanted to sell, and Tencent's like, we'll buy you. Like, I don't know if Tencent would be held to any kind of regulatory boards. I don't know how that works. As far as the country, like in every country, and if Chinese companies are held to the same standard, but yeah, I don't know. Like if From Software, if they can get more capital to do what they want and they can self-publish and they can still create their own IP, that's obviously a great thing. It wouldn't surprise me someday if somebody tried to buy From Software because that's. People have wanted Sony to buy From Software. I've seen that, but obviously it's a company that right now kind of wants to lead their own ship. Hey, you want a piece of the pie and you get extra money from that. Sony doesn't own them, but if From Software does really well, then Sony certainly gets more money from that. So that's part of the business strategy that Jim Ryan and SIE are setting out there. But at first I was like, I took to the Facebook page and I was like, someone explain this to me, because other than just getting extra money from dividends and whatnot, I was like, is this really that big of a deal? And Troy's like, yeah, they'll just make more money off of From Software sales. So I'm like, oh, all right, makes sense. I thought it was maybe too simplistic an explanation, but yeah, Sony and Tencent haven't bought From Software, but who knows? Maybe one day they'll, with the right offer, they'll creep in there. And of the two, I would assume that Tencent would be most likely to buy them, or would have the most wiggle room to buy them, I would say, over Sony.
All right. Gareth Dupe says the backbone is sold out heavily, so you might have a little trouble finding one.
That's right. No, we'll wait. We'll wait.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of the From Software games. Sony purchasing anything, to boost up their revenue and boost up their game development studios. To me, that's always a plus. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Sony pony. I think it's good for Sony. I didn't put it in the agenda, but I did put it in the Facebook group that one of the studios that we thought Sony was going to purchase was Quantic Dream, but apparently they were purchased up by NetEase Games. So Sony lost out on that purchase. And I'm looking at the games that NetEase has made, and it seems like it's a lot of mobile games. So I don't know how Quantic Dream is going to fit into that. Dupe says it makes sense to invest in them. I agree. And he also says Sony's had their fingers in From Software pie for a while since Bloodborne. Correct me if
maybe it's all part of Sony's strategy to keep games off of Game Pass.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Demon Souls was the PlayStation exclusive. That was made by From Software, right?
I don't believe it was made by From Software.
No, the remake wasn't.
No,
wasn't Blue Point who did Demon Souls.
No, I'm talking about the original Demon Souls.
Okay.
I'm looking it up right now.
Well, yeah, the From Software did that originally because they also then moved on to Dark Souls.
Right, and because Demon Souls was exclusive, and then From Software came out with Dark Souls, so it can go multi-platform. It's basically the same game, just different name, right? Yes. Okay, yeah, it's only giving me the PlayStation 5 version of it. I'm not gonna deep dive into this. Yeah, I think Sony having a piece of the pie is definitely a good thing. So I really don't have an opinion either way on this because, like I said, I'm not too much into the whole From Software catalog. But yeah, Sony having a piece of the pie, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, it's smart. If it's a smart financial investment, then hey, I don't care what games they make. They're gonna make you money. Then go ahead.
I mean, the real topic is, I suppose, is Tencent, isn't it? I mean, from Sony, yes, it makes sense, and I mean, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the Tencent acquisitions, especially given the Chinese government's restrictions on, gaming, and their government puts restrictions on the amount of time that people can game, don't they? As far as I'm aware from reading reports, and
they put restrictions on people for a lot of shit.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. And so, yeah, Tencent probably arguably one of the, if not China's largest company, or one of them certainly. So they must be forgetting. I don't know what their opinion is because if they're investing so much money into games, especially the way that games are going now with live services, and so wanting people to spend more and more time on games, how is that going to, certainly within their own market, they're not going to be making any money there, are they? I suppose that's probably why they're investing out, in the Western companies now, isn't it? That's going to be their loophole, isn't it, to making money? Probably why they're investing so much, because obviously at home they're not going to be able to make anywhere near as much because of the government.
Sorry, I had to step away. I had a phone call from Sweet Mama D, so I didn't hear what you said, Gareth. Either one of you guys want to respond, because I don't know what Gareth said.
I mean, no, not really. I mean, I guess that, I don't know how, I mentioned earlier that it makes more sense for Tencent to buy From Software, but I don't know if Sony being a Japanese-based company and From Software being a Japanese company, if that makes a difference, because I've always heard that, or what I've read, especially in the wake of all these acquisitions, is that a Japanese company would rather sell to another Japanese company rather than, say, sell to Microsoft.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Tencent from China?
Yes, it's a Chinese company.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of political things, isn't there, surrounding Tencent.
China and Japan politically are not friends. So I don't know when it comes to business, I mean, like China still does trade with Taiwan, Ukraine and Russia still do trade. So, I mean, there are certain aspects of the economies that don't always match up, especially when it comes to the political side of things. But I don't know, with the tight control that the Chinese government has over its, the People's Republic of China, I don't really know how, as a game company coming from the outside or based elsewhere, I don't know how attractive it is to yeah, there's a lot of money and tons of people who play games there, but how attractive that is to deal with when it comes, when you're a platform holder or you're a game maker and having to deal with all those restrictions.
All right. All right. So at this point, we're going to close out the show. I'm going to do a little housekeeping here. One, if you guys can, we do have a Patreon. We released a Patreon exclusive episode on Open Night Live from Gamescom on Monday. I'm going to be re-releasing the first episode of Tricky Thoughts. For some reason, it was deleted off the Patreon. I didn't realize that. So that's going to come out. And then we're going to come up with more episodes. If you guys are listening to the chat or you guys like to listen to the show on Twitch or, whatnot, throughout the month of September, all subscriptions are half price. So if you guys want to support the show, you can do that at half the price. We still get the full amount, so it's just cheaper for you guys. We still get the same amount of money. So if you guys could do that, sign up on the Patreon. We got different levels. I'm readjusting them as we go. I'm trying to convince Alex and Yield to pay for games for Patreons. I also know that Alex, you were put up last week. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot again here to play Skyrim. Do we have a final answer on that yet?
Well, honestly, Joe sent me a good idea, and he's like, just play Skyrim on the Switch, and you don't have to worry about the trophies, so... That could be... So, do we want to talk about this? Because you...
I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot right now.
No, but I mean, like, us playing games for Patreon, and I had kind of, like, you and I had talked about preliminary stuff, and I don't know what you, Yield, talked about, because you had talked to Yield and asked him this. And I understand the benefit to the show and bringing in money through Patreon this way, but to me it's like, if you're depending on how much you're asking people to pay for this, right? And Gareth, is somebody who's part of the community, so if he puts any money into any Patrons, he can certainly, as someone who would pay money in, if you wanted to, can comment as well and give us a different side of the quarter. But having people pay to see us play games, I don't know, like, I don't necessarily like the idea of having people choose the games that I play. Like, suggestions are fine, but choosing the games that I play, it's like I have a trophy list that's kind of curated to my taste and the games that I like. And I don't necessarily, like giving other people control over that, but also, like, my time. Like, you have people, patrons, who are saying, oh, hey, play this game. All right, now play this game. If they pick certain games like Skyrim or something like that, how much of my time is that going to take up? And am I essentially then, instead of playing games that I would choose first, am I then just playing games that other people pick because we have a Patreon? And I'm not seriously so sure that I want to do that.
All right.
And I know, Tricky, you have your own reasons for the Patreon and why you want to bring in extra money. But for me, like, without having concrete rules right now, it's like, I don't want to essentially spend all my time gaming as, like, a part-time job because of the Patreon, where I don't actually play what I want to play. I'm playing what other people want to watch me play because they're their favorite games.
Well, Dupes kind of agrees with you, saying you're not a jukebox. And you basically said the same thing. And I'll let Yield speak in a second if he wants to speak on this. But when I proposed this to both Alex and Yield, I set down the hard rule that you guys would not cross the line and play spam games. Like, people cannot pay for you guys to play spam games. It has to be legit games that, because you guys are both very proud of your trophy list and, what you guys play and, whatnot. But the way I looked at it, and again, I'll let Yield speak in a second, was like, I am a big component of trying to get Alex to play the Spider-Man games. I'm a big component to get Yield to play God of War. And I know that either one of them, they're not totally against it, but it's not something that they're going to turn around and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to do it this next. And that's kind of what Alex was just saying. Like, he doesn't want to be forced to play Spider-Man. And Yield, I don't want to speak for you, but you're pretty much on the same boat, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same boat. I mean, I know it works for some people, but it's just that's just not my thing.
All right. So again, it's an ongoing conversation. A little behind the curtains. The website costs are going up, and it's getting a little expensive. So yeah, I'm trying to really push the Patreon and push the the Twitch pages and whatnot, and get Alex, to his credit, he's starting to open up more in streaming. Yield, I don't think we're ever going to get that unless it's Rocket League Thursday, and we're getting clips from him.
Which, on that subject, the last game from the Cowabunga collection that I will have left to get the Platinum Trophy will be the SNES version of Turtles in Time, which is the definitive version of Turtles in Time because it has more levels, more bosses. It's just a better game overall. I plan to stream that. Hopefully, it depends on when I beat the last Game Boy game that I got to beat, but I hope to do it sometime between Monday and Wednesday this week. I want to do it. I want to give people a heads up so they can plan and watch if they want to, because I think that's one of the biggest issues with our Twitch is that we kind of just randomly pop on there and people don't have enough of a heads up. And scheduling isn't always the easiest thing, but I would like to get down to a point where I'm like scheduling days and hours so that people know when to come watch. But the next game, I do want to stream Turtles in Time to finish out the Platinum Trophy. And it's kind of a capper to that.
Dupes is saying in the chat, people are dicks, though. You'd be playing spider-infested games forever. And, he's not wrong. But, if you're donating to the site and you want to see me shit my pants playing spider games, I guess that's what I'm opening myself up to. But, all right, so at this point, we're going to close out the show. Before I forget, also there's merchandise. I'm going to get a link, and I'm going to put it in the Facebook group. If you guys want to buy Proven Gamer shirts, hats, mouse pads, blankets, if you know something that you want, I'll put it up there. I know Yield has long wanted a good hat, but our supplier doesn't make the type of hats because Yield, you want like a fitted hat, right?
Yeah, like a flex fit hat, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just not offered. But if you guys want to help out the site, you can also buy our merchandise. I know Rick has bought a couple pieces. I know Daryl's bought a couple pieces. So I want to thank you for them. So yeah, all involved. If you guys can support the show, we'd love to. I totally being honest with you guys, costs are going up and it's getting a little expensive. And any way I could help pay those costs, obviously we could do that.
Real quick, I'll give people an answer as far as Skyrim goes. I'm not gonna play it right now because, like I said, I don't want to. I essentially want to play what I want to play, and I'm gonna kind of go back and kind of clean up my trophy list and just kind of play some things that I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, going to Iki Island, and playing some of the DLC. So right now I want to focus on all that stuff. Kind of want to play. If we do decide to do a Patreon, then sure, I'll put Skyrim on the list. I'm not saying never to Skyrim, but right now I don't want to commit to that, so I'm not gonna play right now. So
yeah,
give people an answer because I told them I would.
And Nitro just brought up something in the chat. It says so we can actually get tricky to finally plat Jedi Fallen Order. If we do open it up to where you guys can pay to make us play a game, we're not opening it up to say that you're paying to make us plat a game. It's just to play the game, because if somebody paid me to play Alan Wake, which somebody did, I don't want to say like I have to struggle through this game to get the platinum. I'll play the game because you guys feel like that's a game I should play, which I did. And thank you for the people that donated. A twerp you to the person that didn't pay up. I'm not going to mention any names. But with that being said, let's close out the show. Let's do some shout-outs. Yield, we'll start with you, sir.
Shout out to Gareth for being on tonight. Shout out to Alex and Tricky for recording as well. Shout out to everyone who's hanging out in the Twitch chat. Shout out to Nitro, Homer, and Riley for teaming up for some Zombie Army 4. We're making our way through the campaign together, so that's some fun stuff. And as always, shout out to all the pimps in the mountains of the whoredom for listening, downloading, hanging out with us, playing games with us, that sort of thing. Thank you.
Gareth, your shout out, sir.
Shout out to Tricky, Alex, and Yield for having me on. It's been great, and I really appreciate doing it a little bit earlier than you normally would and accommodating me so I can go to bed at a reasonable time. A shout out to the community as well. Keep looking at the Facebook page, both obviously the Trophy Wars one, but also the trophy looting one. So keep using that if there's anything you want to boost. It's been good to see the activity on there. So keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Alex, your shout outs.
Wouldn't give a shout out to the community first and foremost. The fuel to the fire of this Trophy Horrors. Fantastic people like Gareth. I want to thank you guys for always pushing us onward and upward. And Gareth, I don't want to put you on the spot or anybody else, but again, I put in the Trophy Looting group. If anyone can help me with the game Awesome Knots, I would greatly appreciate it. If not, that's totally fine. But it's just like a quick play online with people, and you don't even have to win the game. You just got to play online with people. And unfortunately, it's a trophy that I've sat on for a while, and just kind of like, well, I can't do this right now. I'll come back to it later. And it's been years and years, and haven't gotten to it. So no big deal, but if we can clean it up, I would definitely appreciate that. Give a shout out to Tricky and to Yield for recording tonight. Give a shout out to Sid for another fantastic, but in this case, especially tubular edition of Sophie's Trophies, as well as Konami and Digital Clips. The Cowabunga collection is awesome, not just the games included in there, but also everything, the fanfare and the fan service thrown into the Turtles lair. And, even with the games, don't sleep on the Game Boy games, because the Game Boy games are actually better than the original game on the NES. And so the Game Boy games right there, I'd say that it's very odd to play a Game Boy game on a PS5 on a modern day television, but somehow it works. And I've enjoyed them, and they're actually surprisingly full games. So don't sleep on the smaller games in the Cowabunga collection. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend Ashley, who has a birthday coming up on Tuesday. She actually shares a birthday with my mom. So September 6th, happy birthday to Ashley. I love you, honey, and happy birthday to my mom as well.
All right, and I want to give a shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to everybody in the Twitch chat. Thank you very much for joining and coming in and joining the conversation. Appreciate that. Shout out to Sweet Mama D, who started high school. Again, making me feel old. She needs to stop growing up. But, that's what kids do. Shout out to all the listeners. Thank you very much.
Their fathers can't grow up.
Really, Yield, you had to encourage that.
That's kind of funny.
Shout out to everybody. And if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
Peace.
Cheers.
Later.
Bye.